all of their pictures.
All right, let's give just a couple more seconds for everyone who's joining in to connect to the audio and everything, and we should get started. All right, I think that we are live. Thanks everyone for joining the XAFer community stand-up. This will be a really good one. We're gonna be talking about Blazor, and we'll do some type of end of the year update. We do this the second Thursdays of every month. We had to do it this month on the third Thursday because we have a conference last week, but we are here. We're excited to be talking about Blazor. There have been a lot of things coming in Blazor, a lot of new features, a lot of great code analyzer, a lot of great things coming, new modules. So I'm excited for this meetup. And I think that we're gonna have to do a beginning of the year Blazor again because there are a lot of demos that we want to show. Actually, I'm gonna try to present the ones that I have here on the bottom, but if I have more time, I have a few more here, and hopefully Jorge has a few other interesting things actually talking about SAF and blockchain and crazy things that we're always trying to test. So with me right here is Jorge, Dennis, and Dave. DevExpress MVP, Jose, and Dave, and Dennis is the project manager from SAF, so I'm really excited to have them here, and I appreciate you guys for taking the time to meet with us. I always say when the community gets together, great things happen, hackathon, summits, and more, and hopefully at some point in the future, we could do an in-person event. That will be a dream come true. There is no dress code. Dress code required, a beer or a coffee is highly encouraged, and let's just talk about SAF and what we love, XPO, and our experience. As always, please join our Facebook group. I'm really excited. We are already in 1,500 members. Follow DevExpress, join the group on LinkedIn as well. Follow DevExpress SAF on Twitter. That is actually my first search all the time. Follow them. There is a lot of everything that new that is coming up. You can see it there. We even have a TikTok, but I think that our audience or SAFers are not too much on the TikTok wave. Subscribe to SAFers Weekly. We try to send there the latest thing that we can. That is the DevExpress team is releasing, the latest thing that the community is working on, getting our experience, and just definitely just talking about what we like and what we love. So with that out of the way, I will let Jorge, Dave, and Dennis introduce themselves, and then we go from there.
Well, I will start with the introduction. So, hi everyone, my name is Jorge Ojeda. I'm a DevExpress MVP. I work for the company with Seymour Ansari. And usually my interests are doing technical research and try to experiment with technology to push it as far as we can. So Dave, your turn.
To find my mute buttons. Thanks. So yeah, I'm Dave from Llama Chat Technology. We do training and development, custom development work. We've been using XAF since it was released at the end of 2007, and love being part of these. These are fantastic. Jose?
Yeah, so before I pass the mic to Dennis so he can start telling us about the current state of Blazor, the future of Blazor, a few things about Nougat, Visual Studio 2022, and a lot of great things. I want to mention, like, Dave, it's interesting that you were saying that you have been working with SAF since 2007. I just briefly exchanged messages with Oliver and Storm, and he was just recalling about a podcast he did in Tech Summit 2007 when he was, or 2006, when he was talking about SAF being in CTP. So it was great to hear someone talking about actually the beginning of what we do every day, 24/7. So that's amazing. So Dennis, I'm gonna pass the presentation to you right here. If you see, we have a lot of demos. So we're gonna have a crazy, great meetup. And if we are not able to cover all of them, we'll come back to it in January. So here we go.
Okay. Hello, everybody. My name is Dennis. I work for DevExpress, and I am PM of XAF and other products at DevExpress. And I want to start this my presentation with great news. Because we have made hotfixes available for Nougat. It was a popular request, and I want to thank everybody in the community who helps us improve our products. And I wanted to briefly describe how it works if you haven't seen my blog post yet. First, I want to clarify the value of having Nougat hotfixes. In the first place, it will help companies who set up CI/CD pipelines for their build infrastructure, and it will help them to upgrade in minutes instead of hours. For example, if you have a if you are using Azure DevOps and you have a directory.build.props file, it's a matter of changing just one version here, and you are done. Because the build will start using this version automatically, and it will be accessed from our servers. If you are using Visual Studio, for example, here you can see Nougat package manager, and here you can see that I searched for an XAF package. And it's important, here you can see that the list of available release versions. To access hotfixes, it's important to press this small checkbox, include release. It's very important, and many people miss it. And once you check this, you'll see the list of versions with the suffix pre and number of specific hotfix version. So you can select this hotfix version and upgrade your required projects. That's how it works in Visual Studio. And besides CI/CD pipelines, this will also help to customers who are using DevExpress products that don't require any design time. For example, Office File API or XAFers security API. So this will not require you to download our installer and waiting for its installation to complete. What else to say? In the Support Center, there are not many changes. It will be the same as for as before. You will have buttons where you can request a hotfix once a certain issue is fixed, and then once the hotfix is available, you can click some links and to either download our installer or go to Nougat. Well, I think that's it for Nougat packages. Do you have any questions so far?
I have one, Dennis. It's like, are the hotfixes going to be marketed as pre all the time, or they're going to say like hotfix or something in the suffix?
No. For now, they are marketed with pre. And what's the problem I'm talking about?
Well, the only thing is that you will not know if it's an intermediate version but anyway, an intermediate version will be a hotfix. Anyway, just because of the wording. That's it.
Yeah. Actually, I think you are asking about beta and early access previews. They are marketed a bit differently, like beta, and for early access preview, we'll make it alpha
Okay.
to distinguish from hotfixes.
Perfect.
Yeah, so, any other questions? Okay, then I wanted to talk about Visual Studio 2022. Because as you know, our previous version 21.2.3, it didn't support the latest IDE version. And recently, actually a couple of weeks ago, we released the version 21.2.4 that supports Visual Studio 2022 for XAF solution wizard, and also XAF model editor, and also XPO data model designer. So you can now use the latest tooling and share your feedback. Here, I wanted to view that for framework applications, we haven't yet supported the application and module designer, and there is a no known public issue. We'll hope to support it in the coming months or so. For example, if you have a .NET framework web forms application or WinForms application, if you double click on win application.cs file, you will have an error. The good news is that this is actually a plain code file, and you can edit it anyway. And this editing this file is not complicated because it just creates modules and sets some properties. That's it. And as you probably know from our roadmaps, we don't have designers for .NET Core applications already, and we will not have them. And our decision is based on the fact that most of our users are already using a solution wizard that creates all the required code with modules. And the second reason is that, again, it's pretty straightforward to just write a few code lines to add a new module or set a few options. Any questions on this?
No. Yep.
And
the only thing then is in the Visual Studio 2022, there is a great line that actually Martin on the Gitter channel was mentioning about dependency injection for WinForms and Blazor. I think that's amazing.
Yeah, I wanted to show it. Thank you, Jose. If you again read our roadmaps, you remember that I mentioned that we are planning to expand this GI configuration to WinForms as well. For example, here you can see a typical startup.cs file for a Blazor application, and here you can see how we.
Sorry, Dennis, can you increase the text size just a little bit?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Here you can see how we configure security system, for example. So this configuration is pretty similar to what you see inside the designer.cs file, but it's a bit more natural for Blazor applications and also for future WinForms and other UI platforms. And the same configuration will be available for not only for security, but also for modules. For example, in 21.2, we supported dashboards module and office module, and they add a similar line like add XAF dashboard and XAF office, and also it will be easier with this GI configuration. It will be easier for developers to register their own service and configure default XAF services. And we expect to ship this new configuration in May 2022. Again, it will affect only .NET Core applications. We will not touch .NET Framework applications, not to cause any breaking changes. So that's it about this topic, I think. Maybe you have additional questions or suggestions. I'll be happy to listen.
I just will say that this is amazing. Again, if you see everything where it's going, like ASP.NET Core, Blazor, MAUI, all of them are using this type of DI injection. So this is great. Actual functions, they also have the same startup, but where you configure all your service. So being able to have that in SAF WinForms, that will be amazing.
Yeah. And if you guys are following .NET MAUI development, you might notice that it has a similar configuration, and it goes to any modern platform nowadays. Okay, I think that's it for now. Thank you.
Okay, so let me share my screen. And now that I'm in the support center, I'm gonna repeat, I already passed this feedback to Dennis, but I have a couple of XAFers, and myself included. I think that it would be great to have some type of filter here that we can select SAF, and then we can say SAF Blazor, for example. That way we get the latest of all the support center tickets. I always say reading the support center is a gold mine to learn SAF, to see what people are working on, to try to share your knowledge. So also being able to like filter by SAF Blazor will be amazing, because for example, for preparing for this meetup, I was looking at all the latest tickets about SAF Blazor, and there is a lot of great information. And I just have a few right here. I have a few down here. I have a few over here. So being able to actually have it filtered down, that will be really good. So just a feedback there. Hopefully the webmaster thing at some point give us that capability. That will be great. So let's then start going to a few things. Again, if you know, like the frequently asked questions, it was moved actually to the real documentation instead of having like a support center ticker. So there is, as always, really good information out here about how to take a .NET framework app and move it to .NET 5, how to add a custom module, the Visual Basic support, integrate custom components, and we're going to review a few of those examples, using the camera, offline mode, and a lot of great questions here that we always come back to. And not only that, XAFers are always going through all of those. As always, the roadmap is one of the most important things that we are always looking for, where it's like we don't have to do, we do a lot of crazy workarounds all the time, but as soon as DevExpress release the official documentation, we roll back right away to the one that is going to be supported, because believe me, that's the way to go. But right here you can see, and if we actually create, and let's do it actually, let's create a file, new project in Blazor. Jose, while I'm presenting, please check the chat in case that there is any question. Feel free as always to ask as many questions as needed, as many questions as you want, share your experience, suggest topics for the next meetup and so on. So let's just create a new project. I just basically want to show that the number of modules that is now ready for SAF Blazor has increased a lot. And not only that, we have a lot of great more things like the SAF Way API. That's amazing, especially that we even have it just for Windows. So if we don't want to have a Blazor application, but we're doing a Windows application and we want to have our connection stream protected and we have to have that middle tier, it's already out of the box. So you click, and you're good to go. And we'll show it in action. So let's just put here, SAF, Miro, Blazor. And of course, my spelling in a live presentation. Okay. And right here, directly to the core, that's the preferred way to do things nowadays, guys. And let's run the wizard. We went to my other monitor, but basically here we already have our WinForms Net5 application, we have our web API, and we have our Blazor. So if we do this combination, we're going to have an application that we're going to show now that is actually presenting the abstracting is taking away the connection stream from our application, and we're going to have it on the web API. So I think that that's pretty cool. Let's just do Blazor. Standard authentication. Right here, we can select Windows Active Directory or any of our providers, but you can see here the number of modules now we already have dashboard. We have file attachment, we have clone. We don't have pivot yet, but we have an example of how to do pivot in that Blazor. So let's put this aside for just a second, and let's come back to this branch. So let's talk about the backend web API service CTP. So if you see right here, out of the box, without doing anything for us, the wizard already generate the code that we need and the project that we need from us. And we can see that right here, we have the get, the post, all the operations that we need. And with the data that we can actually do expand, we can do select, we can do a lot of great things. And right here, then we also have that if we want to do like to that middle tier API, we can even do direct SQL query. Basically, we only have to change the parameter to allow the command channel configuration. So with that, we can actually even do the direct SQL query, everything that we know about execute query, execute no query, and so on. And right here, we have the explanation about the middle tier security. There is a lot of great documentation. The DevExpress team has been putting it together, so feel free to go and review. Like every day, there is new things. But basically, what we want to see is like, for example, in this project, we have this middle tier security, and then we pass that to our Win application. So let's see it in action. We have our project here, and if you see, this is just the exactly same thing. I didn't do nothing extra. That 5 new projects, selected Windows, selected web API, and we have this. You see, we have our 3 projects that we're used to: the module, the Win, and we have our web API project. And we can even see here that is calling our web API in the port 4438, and then it's creating that web API middle tier security. And with that security, it's instantiated on Windows application. So let's just run this, and I have multi-startup projects. So basically, we load both at the same time, but you will see that right away. We have our application connecting to our database through the web API. Pretty cool, right? And we haven't done anything here. I don't know if you guys did this in the past. We did it with XPO, YPO that we implemented, and it was a lot of code. We did it with WCF. Right now, it's out of the box with Swagger and OpenAPI. So this is amazing. Let's see our web API is running here, and let's see our Windows application loading, and let's give it a second.
Jose, while it loads, just wanted to say a few words that we showed the first preview of this functionality. I mean, web API service and middle tier service, and we certainly want to release it in 2.1 in May. So we welcome your feedback, especially on web API service, because it's a new beast in the city. So we rely a lot on your feedback because we have many ideas, and we want to prioritize them. For example, we are thinking about making endpoints for serving reports, for obtaining localization captions, file attachments, etc. So if you want to solve similar problems, just contact us in the support center.
And that would be amazing. That would be amazing. We have done the report service outside of software. We have had a web API that actually run the report and send the PDF, for example, to Xamarin and to other things. So this is really promising. So if you see here, we have the application user, but we also have the domain object that we have created in this application, just to see that we already have all those endpoints ready for us. So let's click login, and voila, we will have our Windows application connected to a database through our web API. And I haven't had, besides the new domain object here, not even one line of code. All of those was provided to me out of the box. So something that we used to have to put a lot of time, and we actually did a lot of consultation for this. A lot of people asked for this, especially big companies that they are really concerned about security, about people getting in their Windows application. So right here, done, out of the box. So let's close this. So we try to move a little faster and show a few things more. So let's close this and let's open the next one. So right here, let's talk about how to create a custom login page on Blazor UI. And if we see this ticket right here, of course, now with 21.2, we have a custom template. So we can actually start customizing our templates, and we can actually show a few things here. But let's start with the login part. That is the simple one. So if you see the login part, basically we're gonna find the route and put the route in the startup, and then just create right here. We're gonna kind of piggyback on the same implementation that SAP has. So let's do that one first. Let's come here. Let's go to a startup. Let's comment this out so we see the first implementation. And let's go to that login page component that it was the custom login component. So the custom login component, we see it here, the only thing that it has is the H1 tag, and that's it, the control from SAP. We run this now. Now let's give it a second. And I actually, in the Facebook group, I think that there was someone asking about CSS on our own Razor components. There is a video on my channel about SAP supports SaintsNet 5 CSS isolation. So if you put your CSS right beside your Razor component, that will apply only to that component. It will create a unit tag, and that will work perfectly. So if we see here, we are seeing our H1 tag right here on top of our login from SAP. So basically we are using the same, we are leaving the functionality of SAP, and we're starting to add our own markup. We're starting to add our own CSS and everything we want. Now, of course, we could do something like also inspect, finding the CSS selector and making this however you want it, close to your brand or anything. But let's see a more involved approach. So let's change the startup and let's use the login page Razor. So if we see here in the login page Razor, basically we're starting to see that we have more markup, and we also have this component tag that we're going to call the login component. And if we go to a login component, then right here we have the application provider to get the application, the IGA runtime, and then we have our markup with a username and password. And when we click the submit button, it will do the process login, and that will call and get the authentication standard login parameters. Right there we get the username, the password, and it will log on and so on. So let's run it to see it. A little more beautiful approach.
Javier, sorry that I interrupt you with this, but there is one thing that I've been thinking about doing it, but didn't have the time. It's like, can we access the object space provider inside of that page? Because sometimes we want to do data-driven stuff before login. For example, imagine you have a gallery and you want to show the image of the gallery image at the beginning, and the images are stored in SAP in the file data or something like that. So I think an interesting demo will be like, okay, let's have some public data in the same login page, and then allow the user to log in if they need to do that.
Okay, but I think that if we allow that data to the anonymous type, we should be able to access it here. And if we have our Razor component in the initialize and we have our application, we can actually create an object space and bring any data we need and display it here. So honestly, I don't think that we are too far from that with this example.
Yeah, the thing is, I knew that it was possible, but I never did the exact lines to do it. So one day we have to do a test for that.
Yeah, we can definitely do a demo for the next meetup and get it ready. One thing that I like about this implementation is that we can have like our landing page of our app, and then with a login button click that takes you to the login. So basically you have with SAF, you will have basically all your site. You will have your landing page, your commercial presentation, then you click login and you go to the portal that the clients use, that your users use, and so on. So let me log in just to see it in action. And after that, I'm going to show like one of the projects that we're working on that we want actually is in a rough shape yet, but I want you guys to see the possibilities that we have right here. And it's the one that we want to push to the limit to see how many concurrent users, look, to see how many people, how much memory in the server. So let's get to it. So basically, with that, we have a login customized for our SAF lecture application. So now, let me show you this one that I think that you guys will like it. This is a fitness application for people who like to use resistance bands. So let's say that instead of going to the gym, they have some resistance band that they have more pounds by resistance, and not 100% an expert on the fitness part, but I want you guys to see the SAF implementation that we're trying to achieve here. So basically we have here the bar with the bands, and right here we have a more involved implementation of the login screen. Of course, we have register. If you see, we changed, we have the forgot your password, and we have all the functionality that is actually using the same example that Denny has provided for Windows and for web forms for a lot of time with the security extension module that we have in there. So if we log in, there is a concept here that with the resistance bands, you only have two types of workout, push and pull. And depending on those, you have like four exercises on every workout. So the workouts are pretty all the time the same. So let's say that I have this workout that I'm doing today, December 16th. So I open it and I will have here all the exercises I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do this 3 push exercise, and this could be anything, pull-ups, any exercise. And right here, we can put our weight or body type. We can put who is the user, what is the workout type. And of course, we can put a progress photo to see how we're doing. And let's close here because we're not going to add a progress photo. So if we say start workout, start away, we'll take you to a Reschedule component. And that Reschedule component first will give us a video, a YouTube video, so we know how the exercise is getting done. So we're going to do the exercise this way, so we don't have to be remembering this is the proper form, this is the proper, and then we're going to click here, start exercise, and then the countdown because we need to do it in 15 seconds. Right here, we're gonna put how many repetitions. We did 12 full reps and we did 5 partial reps. And the great thing is, like, if you see everything that we can, like the things that we can achieve here are crazy, because right now when the time is up, we know, hey, you need to move to the next exercise. And let's see it in mobile. That is the most important part because people basically use mobile to work out. So these are the capabilities that we can achieve in SAF Blazor and the things that we can do. And so the idea here is we're going to provide this application that we're doing for free, and we're going to try to get as many users as possible using the application, and we're going to put application inside. We're going to take connected circuit, disconnected circuit, open circuit. We're going to test, and we're going to finally put some actual graphical numbers of how many users are using SAF, because I guarantee you we're going to have a great result with this product. So with that one, let's close this and let's move to the next demo. Let's go to our site. So we have, okay, we were talking about now about custom templates. So we have one of the documentation that XAFers provide like 2 months ago, 1 month ago, is how to create a custom template. And this is an example that I have seen some people asking how to put the navigation on top instead of on the left. So right here, you can already go and create your custom template. So let's find the custom template project. And if you see, we're gonna have here custom navigation templates, and we can register it here. So right now, we already start getting access to everything that we want, exactly as we did, similar as what we did on Windows forms, similar what we did in web forms, that when we actually get a point that we need to customize the UI more than that that just with some CSS more than with just actions controllers. So right here, we can actually customize the templates. And right here, basically, we're going to change the navigation. And we are using the DX menu. So let's run it and see it in action. And then I will show another example where we also did it a little more, not with the navigation, but with a button right beside the settings. And that's a great thing, that most of those things, of these samples, of these demos, are coming from the support center, of a question that someone did, of something that we needed and we found there, of the documentation. So reading the support center is actually definitely the way to go here. So right here, you see there is no navigation, and we click here, the navigation starts getting with the DX menu thing. I think that I'm missing a CSS or something, so we put it right beside here, but I didn't want to waste more time because what I wanted to show is the capabilities that we can actually modify the template, that we can change the navigation, that we can change the position of some places, that we can add an action here. And this is what we did in the next one. If we see this SAF Blazor custom template 1.2, right here, we are adding a button component that is beside the setting component, that is besides the image, that is actually, so we are inserting that besides the action container, and we see it in action here. And of course, we register the Windows template. So all these steps, I don't want to go in depth in any of those, but if you guys have any questions or want to see anything, if I'm going too fast, just let me know. I will jump to the code and actually go through. But all of those is on the documentation. In that example that I just showed about how to use SAF Blazor custom template, right there, it's everything that we need to do that. So in this one, the idea was just to prove a point, because it's not actually something that is too useful, but the idea was to put an action besides the avatar and the temp selector. So if we go to context, right here, you see, we have a new button, a new action there. It's like we call it button component. And right here, basically what it's going to do is open the detail view. So let's say that I select this user and I click and open the detail view. So nothing crazy. There is no functionality here that is blowing our mind, but it's definitely a proof of the customization that we can do with templates. So basically, we are able to insert our own components in the template that we want. So with that one, let's continue to the next one. So this one, I'm not gonna show the sample project running, but I do wanna discuss it. I don't know, and I would love to see everyone that is here in the meetup to tell me their experience with the value manager in SAF Blazor. Honestly, we were used to the value manager in Windows, that it was using like a static variable, and we were using to the web form that was using the user sessions. And right now in Blazor is a scope, and when we logging in, the Blazor application is also a scope. So there have been some few changes there. And in some time when we expected the value manager to return a value, we have had some issues there. But I saw this ticket from the support center, and this implementation, I really like it, about that Gosha provide. Basically, we create a service that it will have a dictionary with a username and any value that we want to pass. And then we register that as a singleton. So yeah, everyone will get an instance of that service. Everyone will get an instance of that dictionary, but only the current user will access his key with the username and get his value. So that's a simple workaround, but I think that we have, like, this is, in my opinion, really nice. And I have honestly changed to this implementation for a lot of things. I remember, Jose, when we did the example of changing database and runtime before the official example came up, and we had an issue with that value manager in the logging in when we come back. So at the end, we have to create a cookie and put it on the.
And that's not the only case, Javier. Also, we have one case when we implemented a middleware because I was working with the people from Developer Express. I don't know, I think it was Gosha who helped me for that. That we wanted to have a middleware service, and we wanted to access the value manager there also for a Quartz implementation. And they actually did, like, they as always, they came out of their way to help us, and they make a great example. I don't know if that example is still valid today, because we did it in the really early days of SAF Blazor. So I wanted to take a look to that, because I remember that in the office, like in our internal chat, we were having a lot of discussions just about this case, right? So let's put something together, like, and say like, this is how we will officially work somehow.
Okay, so now that you want to say something, Dennis?
Yeah. I think it was our fault to expose this value manager API many years ago, to be honest. And yeah, this approach with custom service is perfect. And I think we'll document it somewhere in the official documentation, because value manager is an internal API, and it may change and it changed in the past. So
Well, I'm glad that we're not crazy there then, and we're going to the right implementation, because I saw that ticket from that Gosha gave that answer, and I say I really like that implementation. We can reuse it, and we actually did a training on our thing and say, everybody, let's gonna start. This is the way to go from now on, when we need to share a value that is only for that user. So yeah, thank you for that, to the support for the stress, as always. It's great. And actually, Jose, you were talking about middleware. This is another example about a XAFer that was asking about value manager in the middleware, and the answer was creating a service, app service, where we put the two properties there that we need, registered that service in the as a scope on the configured service, and then when we are using our middleware, we can access that service on our constructor.
And to tell you the truth, Javier, I think that the implementation that Gosha shows and the one that we're using at the moment is actually the right way to go. The thing is that we were so spoiled by using the value manager that was so easy in Windows Forms and web forms, that we say like, yeah, use value manager. We always use it. Like, if we need to pass a value from one place to another, let's do that. But I think like we needed to shift our thinking from that way to use dependency injection. I mean, registering a service is kind of free somehow, so we can register any service to keep the state outside of SaaS in that sense.
yeah, exactly. And this concept is well documented by Microsoft. When you create a new Blazor application, you without XAF, you see this weather forecast service by default, and it's also in Maui applications, and it's a well documented concept. So why to learn a new XAF API while there is a standard?
There was one case, Dennis, and is that sometimes you want to do the stuff on the same way in all the platform, because even though we don't use web forms anymore that much, we still use Windows Forms. So sometimes you need to do you wanted to have the same code for Windows Forms and the same code for Blazor. But now that we can use the dependency injection from Microsoft in Windows Forms, then with just a service, we fix all of this, I guess.
I think that what Jorge say about we were like used to do it a certain way, that's exactly right. Because one thing that it happens to us a lot as well, and this is an example, was the security system current user. We have a lot of criteria. So when we went to Xamarin and we went to other platform, that was failing. And then it was just to change our thought about using the function operator, the get user ID. So we get it the same way without having to use the
security system.
Yeah, and actually, let's look for that. I always like to, when I say, what is the example, SAF, how to create it by, and we can see it right here. Right. So right here, we switched from this implementation that we had it all the time to this one. So that was also a change on our what we used to do, and now we have the other coding everywhere. So I think that is also a way, like you get used to do one thing one way, and then you are a little resistant to change that little part.
Yeah, and you know, in the next version, you also can avoid the usage of XAF types info.instance, this static property, because we will update our example to demonstrate and how to write code without relying on these static options. And it's more. Oh, I see Martin Praxmar is loving it in the chat. Yeah, he was longing for it.
Yeah, he's excited about that. He has been asking for that for a while, right? Okay, so another thing that I want to briefly mention is the new DX list editor of XAF Blazor. It's already coming with a lot of APIs to do a lot of things that we actually were having issues in the old one. It's having API now to create summary of filters. You have API now to create, and we can review all those links later on. But I want to show it's like how to enable the XAFers later. So basically, just go to your Blazor module and make sure that you register it, and then you have all the code as exactly as it is. As I have seen a few people having issue with this, and that's pretty much it. Then you're gonna be able to start using all the goodness that is coming, and actually there is a lot of more features that are on their way there. So few other things that I want to show with XAF Blazor. So we have the project when they wanted to use drag and drop. They wanted to actually drag a file to the XAF Blazor application to upload. So basically we use the DX control from DevExpress right here. And we review their implementation. So we saw, let's actually check the demo. And we saw the properties that it was passing, the markup, what properties do with it. And again, the great thing about this is that everything that you can do in Blazor, everything that you can do in Windows, you can do it in XAF. So basically what we did is like, okay, we need to create this inside XAF. So if we go to it, and I think that someone on the Facebook group asked this same question, how to integrate a Reschedule component in a detailed view in XAF. And I have said several times, again, like just think about this. If you are in a list view, most probably you need a list editor. If you are in a detail view, you will need a property editor to integrate your control. If not, you integrate a custom control by default, or you create a custom view item and put it there. And in the initialize, you have your application provider, you have your object space, so you call and bring anything you need there. So let's basically review real quick. So we're gonna have an editor here, and actually I was already having it open, and the editor is called file data, and then it's actually on top of file data, and then we can see here everything we need. So we have the property editor. The property editor is the one who tells us how to do things in XAF, and it's connecting to the adapter. So then we take that upload file adapter, and the adapter will kind of bind our Reschedule component that is actually doing it here with our model. And then we have our model. That is the one who has all the properties that we need, the upload URL, the read only, drop zone, and anything from there. With that one, basically, then we put our markup together. Our markup will be the same tag with all the properties that we need. And that's basically it. If we have all those properties, and then we go to our domain object, say, okay, for this file data, use my editor, don't use the regular that comes with XAF. That's pretty much it. You are able to start using that control that it was not there, and let's see how it looks.
Javier, just while that loads, I want to tell something in general. It's like, if you really want to interact with XAF, with your custom UI or your custom controls, really learn about the property editors. If you really know how to make them, you can hook up any UI control that you want in XAF. And I use that approach a lot. Sometimes I don't even use the detail view at all. I create my own form with any other crazy stuff that I need to do. but I just make a property editor for the complete object. And that's an amazing trick to do, I guess.
I think that I would like to see Google Analytics on the DevExpress site to see how many people actually go to because they have a really nice documentation about how to show controls. If you are in a detail view, what are you trying to do for a property editor? If you are in a list view, if you are having a control that is not bound to any object, if you have, there is a really great article. I'm not going to look for it right now that actually tell you what you should think about. If you want to integrate a control that is not bound to any data, if you want to integrate a control that shows a list of data, that will be.
And remember, Javier, in our first Blazor implementation that was public, we did that trick all the time. Like we replaced the complete detail view with a control that we made.
Yeah, that was going a little crazy. We just did one property and that detail view that was the OID, and then did a property editor only for that OID and create a whole huge customized view. Then when we get that OID, we call the find object, bring that object, and then paint the whole screen. We went a little overboard there. So let's get a file so we can load it here. Let's give me a second. Let's find one. Okay, so let's put this one. So if we scroll here, if you see now, right away, upload give you the progress, and you can actually click on it and download it. So pretty cool, right? Just know how to do the property editor, see the example how it's implemented in pure Blazor, and just translate it. That's it. There is nothing else that we have to create here. So let's continue to the next one. Of course, I think that
Javier, just right now there is a question in the chat that I think is kind of interesting. I don't know how to pronounce the name. It's Arun Prasad, I think. If there is a BMP or workflow engine that will be integrated in SAF in the future.
You want to answer
for
that,
2022, you can use custom solutions as indicated in our roadmap. I think, unless I'm mistaken, Spand has one custom module, and I know a few other customers who used custom solutions based on Hangfire and such like.
Well, just today we got an example from Jean-Paul. He's a big friend of the community, and he sent the example with Hangfire also.
And I want to show it here, actually. I want to, and if Jean-Paul, if you want to add any comments or just even unmute your mic and let us know. So this is a really neat implementation about background processing or via Hangfire. So I'm going to share this link in the chat later on, and everyone can take a look at the implementation. This is really, really nice. And definitely, like what I say is, like, if you have something implemented in Blazor, bring it to SAF. It will work. I guarantee you.
Yep. And well, also to close that question, I would say we have the Gene implementation that you can run the scripts. That's basically you can make your own workflow there. So there are many solutions that Dennis said, not that comes with SAF anymore because we don't use Windows Workflow Foundation anymore, I guess. But it's kind of easy to integrate in the end. It's like if you can do it outside of SAF or find any component that will do it outside of SAF, just to put it within SAF will be kind of easy, I guess.
Yes, maybe. Hello, this is Jean-Paul here. Maybe I can say something about the movie that, what is it, the video that I've put online for.
Yeah, please do, please do.
It is too small what I've seen. My screen is, I think, too big, but maybe you can play it, and I don't know if the sound can be, and I can tell you something about it. What you see over here is this is just a Windows application, XAFer Windows application. But what we did here is we changed the behavior of a simple action. Instead of running sequentially through, in this case, all the selected objects, what we do is we assign them to jobs to Hangfire. And finally Hangfire will execute the same code as if it was done sequentially, but then per job that you have been created. And I'll give you a small demo how this will look like. This is just a dummy action with some delay behind it. We do have some navigation items on the left called automation, where you have access to certain objects from Hangfire. And this is a job list that we have. The job list can be selected based on jobs to process. And here you have a demo of selecting several rows. On the bottom right, you see that the 8 rows are placed in the queue, and those items are enqueued and are no longer processed, except when the server is launched. And that's done now. Now we launch the Hangfire server based on mainly the same code base as the Win application. And the progress bar you see is that the background processing is running, and this dashboard shows the processes. But the problem is that the system is so fast that it already processed those jobs. So we go back. Here is a demo of the one of the jobs, the time that it has been spent to execute, and you see the latency. Latency is the difference between adding to the queue and execution time. So you can have an idea if your queue is too busy. And this is the final execution time. And what we do now is we leave the server running and we select another bunch of rows. And then you see the real-time processing of those rows through Hangfire. And it's just by changing the original line of code into a simple new line of code, so that those lines are assigned to the Hangfire server. Here we see the job in detail and the 3 rows processed by Hangfire. So the time that it is enqueued, the time that it's processed, and the time that it has been succeeded. And, we see that there are 60 workers assigned to this job. So that means that this job is run in parallel 60 times. So I had some projects done with Hangfire last couple of months, and you need to think in another way. You have to change your mindset in bringing jobs to a server that's doing this in parallel, because normally you think sequentially, you think that your code is run from top to bottom, but in this case it's done parallel, so that can have some major impact on certain processes that you will bring to this technique. So that's I think we use it in web versions, Blazor, and in Windows versions of XAF. So that's, I think, a short presentation of what you can do with Hangfire.
And that's amazing, Jean-Paul. That's amazing. Thanks a lot for sharing. And I love to say, like, when
I have a question. Is possible to reschedule the task in Hangfire from XAF application? Can you do it, or you have changed it in code?
No. The same. Of course, you need to change the code a little bit, because normally when you call a method within XAF, you probably share the current object that you are working on to that method. But what we changed is that we applied the unique identifier of that object, and let Hangfire get that object again from the database and process that. And there is a minimum of changes that we needed to do to the existing code.
And well, that solution is amazing, Jean-Paul. And now that I see that Martin and Jean-Paul have solutions in Hangfire, we will need to do a research event for our office because we use Quartz, and it's almost the same idea, right? You can schedule jobs, you can create many triggers, many types of triggers for the jobs, and you can just basically set up like a service, right? That they will execute any heavy processing on the background.
Yeah, you wish as a hosted service, as a background service there in Blazor, because you have the possibility for that. And one thing that I love about this question is like everyone starts sharing their solution. This is amazing. I don't know if they would like to talk a little bit about his workflow module, or even Martin about the ELSA core, but this is amazing that we have this amount of solutions here available. So definitely we can do workflow and anything else on SAF. So Dennis, if you want to do the quick demo about the lookups, or I think that you put something on the chat, feel free to do it now, and then I come back to it.
Thank you. Let me share my screen. Let me move it. Here, can you see my screen now?
We can.
Yeah, I just wanted to show a quick video that I received today from my developer on the Blazor team. It's about a popular request to be able to create new objects from within the lookup editor, and also to open selected object. So here you go. We click to open selected object, and it brings up the detail view. And also we can click plus button to create a new object. So it functions the same as in WinForms and in web forms. We'll just hope to improve UX a bit, because like that these buttons appear by default, because it can be noisy if you have a form with like 50 or 100 lookup editors, and all these buttons will be noisy. And we want to try to make them appear on hover or with some additional action from user. That's it.
Nice. I don't know, but I like the UI from Blazor is so clean, so beautiful. Look, those edit and those plus sign new buttons. They look amazing right beside that. They don't take too much space. They blend in with the, like, if we remember how it's in Windows that we have the other bigger buttons. That's beautiful. I get excited with these type of things. So let me check. Okay, so let me just mention a few things before giving Hoche the opportunity to present the demo that he wanted to present about SAF Blazor and a few great things. So one thing is what we were talking about, the DX Grid editor, the new editor, grid list editor that we have available. So right here, the great thing is like it has API now to do extra functionality. For example, to store the filters in the model, that we can do it. And right here there is a code that you can actually create and extend extend the model and basically make sure that you are saving those filters. Same thing for if you want to do a filter and just take the value of the summary. So the new grid list editor API also have the API for that. So just again, like, kudos to that. Implementation is coming along. It still have a few more things on their way, but again, really happy with the state of the new grid list editor. So with that, Hoche, I will pass that to you, so you can show the first demo. Then I can come back, and then you do the second demo that you want to show.
Hold on, just double check the chat, because I think there are new messages there. And I will start sharing.
No, it's just Martin being excited as myself, saying to Dennis, nice job with the edit and the new buttons.
Okay, so let's put everything of this in context. So the demos that I'm going to do right now are, of course, related to Blazor, but we have been using inside of our office SAF and Blazor in general to interact with blockchain type of programs. So everyone knows what Bitcoin is, I guess, and everyone knows what Ethereum is, so I will not explain that. So there is a new trend that is called the Web3, which is based on anonymity. And there are so many ways to interact with it. So what we're trying to do is to define some ways to interact with the Web3 type of approach and use it in .NET, especially in Blazor and SAF. Right. So here is the concept of Web3. As I told you, it's based basically on anonymity. No one uses usernames, everyone uses wallets accounts and something like that. And if you don't know what the blockchain is, it's basically a distributed database or a file system. Well, it can be anything. It's a network of computers that processes stored by nodes in general. So my first demo is, let's see which one I have open, there is a file system for the blockchain. Usually you use that when you are going to do non-fungible tokens. Those tokens are basically pictures stored in the blockchain. It can be any file, but most people use it for pictures and videos. So if you want your file to live in a distributed file system that basically will live forever somehow, you can use something like this, the interplanetary file system. That is a blockchain file system. So I needed to use it because I'm doing like some test projects inside of our office. We are researching a lot about blockchain development. So the first thing that I wanted to do is to save a file in the blockchain. So for that, you use the interplanetary file system. This is their website. And in general, basically, it's a file system that is distributed against many nodes. So it's like in this picture here. So well, like I tried many clients for .NET for the IPFS file system, but none of them work. So I wrote my own. And then it's like, well, I have it now. What do I do with this? And let's use it with SAF. So that's what we have at the moment. So let me show you the solution. So here I put this in GitHub. The implementation is not complete. I have not implemented the complete standard for interplanetary file system, but most of the stuff that you will use is already implemented there anyway. I guess I will redo the solution later to clean it up a little bit. But in this case, I'm just going to run it. And you can see how easy it is. Basically, SAF will abstract every interaction with the interplanetary file system. But if you have this, you can just make your class use a specialized type of file data, and then your file will be in the blockchain instead of the database or any file system. So let's run the application and hope that it doesn't explode, you know, the demo effect. Okay, so here we have just an object, a normal object. This object has two properties, one for the name and one for the file data that we're going to attach. So, and here I know that this is not the normal approach, but I make this default class option so we can see it in the menu and I can access directly. So here is what we have. Let me show you the code also. Basically what I did is I create my own implementation of file data. So I grabbed the code actually from the developer express source code, and I just replace the methods where you load and save the file. So again, all the implementation is their implementation. I was lazy to try my own. So in here, I just run two asynchronous methods. This is the first one, which is save to IPFS. And as you can see, the client is abstract most of the problems for you. So you just need to pass the URL of your node. And then you have this method, which is the magic method. You can add any file with that. You just pass a byte array and a file name. And that will upload it to the file system and give you a hash. That hash is your URL. Those URLs are not, you're not able to see them directly usually. What you need to do is that your browser has to have an extension to be a client of that type of file system. So it's not something that you will not use in every case, but it's good to have the options to do it in general. So here, basically, we are uploading the file and then we get the hash. And that's what we store in the SAF side. So, and to retrieve it, basically, is the same idea. You go, you get the hash, you create the client, and it will return a byte array out of that. So let's run it. Okay, so let's create a new object. And this will be demo SAF community. And save this, and let's load a file. So let's use any, I have one, a text file, this one. So let's save this, and basically it's done. So I want to show you what you got after this. So instead of storing the byte array, what we are storing is the URL in the interplanetary file system. So if you copy this and you paste it in the browser, you get the content of the file. So you will get a different hash all the time. And those files are not, you're not able to, if, for example, if I put this URL, if you see it redirect to somewhere, because this is not the URL I pasted. So if I put that here, in here I don't have the extension. This is it's not Chrome, right? And I am running the extension on Chrome. So if you paste that here, basically it will look it forever because there is no URL that ends up in there. So that is a blockchain URL. Also, if you're running your own client, you can see the state if your node is synchronized or not. This is not related to SAF, but we wanted to add functionality in a SAF module to be able to interact with the complete node in the end. So you don't have to have a separate software to interact with the node and then another like SAF application to upload files. So basically that's the idea. I think that this is a little bit out of the way because it's you need a lot of blockchain knowledge to do that. But of course, since SAF is our main tool, we want everything that we do to interact with SAF. And this implementation is open source, so it's like it's free on GitHub at the moment. And eventually we will release a Nougat for it, but we're just finishing it, like giving it the last touch, like let's say. But beside that, I will put the URL to the current GitHub repository, so you can download it and take a look. If you want to run it, just remember that you need to run your own IPFS node. You can download this from their website, and it's just run, and they will give you a URL for you, and that's what we set up here in the code. Of course, you need to pass this as a configuration or something, but beside that, I think it's a neat implementation, and if you are into blockchain development, we will be releasing a lot of information on how to interact with the blockchain and SAF. So that's it for this demo, Javier.
Okay, so I'm gonna share my screen again, and I'm gonna present a few minor things, but I do believe they are really useful. So for example, we have this those messages in the middle of the window. So basically, if we know like every time that we have a message, an error, a validation, we get these those messages on the bottom. And let's see it in action. Let's actually use the same project that we just created just to show that all the modules and everything. This is the SAF made up that we just created. This is a blank project. Let's run it and let's see the default behavior. And then let's just add just a little bit of CSS, and you will see how we can start to customize. And I went to the other monitor. Let's give it a second. Like the third cup of coffee today. It's coming. Okay, okay, let's see that I put a wrong username. So when I try to log in, I will try to check my credential and I will say login failed, right? So I didn't even have to close because we could just load the CSS while running. Let's say that we actually find the selector and we can just right click and we can find out all those things of these alerts. So if we just justify center, you will see that the alert, the toes, the position change. So it's a simple thing, but I think that those small tricks are really helpful when we're trying to like customize to the user. All right. What about if I just click anything again? If you see now, it shows up in the middle. So in this case, I don't know if the middle will be the best position. It will look the best, but it's definitely like the customization that were available here. We can put it on the top. We can do like anything that we want in this regard. So now let's see another one. Like let's say that we want to change the logo and just put some text there. So right here, you will see that basically we are going to set up a quick script that by class name we'll get the logo and we find some HTML and we render that one. So in the app razor, we're going to actually call that and we're going to find what is the role of the user. And this is the role, but this could be anything. So if we check that one, and let's move to here. That's exactly what we have. We have the CSS to give some size to the logo. We have the JavaScript that is actually taking the class by name and finding and putting the HTML, and in the app razor, we're gonna have the set the current role, you know, like the role 0, because we can have several roles by user. And just with that, the application will be able to actually take the role name and insert it as a text on the logo placeholder. Okay, it's loading. Let's wait for it. And voila. So right here, you see the role that we have for this user. Administrator 1 is the one who is showing here on top. So if we change this, we go out, we save, we close. Most probably we have to log out and log back in. And voila. And this is really good, especially for some type of multi-tenant where we want to show here the company name, or we want to show something that is for the environment of the current user, and we can actually make this type of arrangement. So I think that, again, some simple customizations, but they bring a lot of behind. So I always like to see all those small things that bring an extra user experience to our users. So let's review the Kanban board. I think that we have seen this before, but I think that it doesn't get old to go and see the implementation of like actually Kanban board is a SAF Blazor. So let's run it. Let's log in. And if we see here, so we have our user that is admin, and we put a picture on that user. And then we have our task that we call it test. It's assigned to me. It's like the colors and so on. But now we can go to the Kanban board and it will show the Kanban board. It will show the picture of the user. It will show the task, and then we can start moving it around and do everything there. So this is actually not even a DevExpress control. This is in Fusion Kanban board. So this is just to prove that we can integrate any control that we found out there if we need it, and we put it in SAF Blazor, and it works great. And the implementation, as always, we will have a view item where we're going to, again, do the render fragment and refer that Kanban page, and then we will have a Kanban component with all our markup, where we're going to have our application provider as always, and there we can actually create all your space, bring some data, bring or like if we see here, we have a DTO to map to that Kanban board, and we will have our then our persistent tasks and so on, and all of these things we're going to be able to put it together. Okay, so let's continue. So we have a lot of other examples that we're not going to go through all of them, but basically all of these are coming from the support center. So how to use a logo from a class or from an image that we just uploaded and put it on the logo. How to do a custom login in WinForms app. This is an example for how to do the detail view tab count. Show the detail view from dashboard. So we click on the dashboard and open. So all of those things, and this one is a nice one, the three list. So if we see here, we have the three list implementation. So all of those things we are able to integrate it inside of SAP Blazor. So we have now dashboards. A scheduler is coming in the next year. We have a lot of validation. We have appearance. We have security, and all the small things like the new and the editing, the lookups, they are coming. So SAP Blazor is in a great place right now. So without Jose, I will pass it to you so I can prepare the other demo that I have here, and we'll move from there.
Okay, so let me start sharing the screen. And just a heads up, guys, this is going to be another blockchain type of demonstration. So basically in here, just to put it in context, let's go back to the browser. And well, like, you know that there are many types of blockchains, right? There are several implementations at the moment. The most, the biggest ones are Bitcoin and Ethereum. So, and everything else that is in the market is a copy of them somehow. It's either a copy of Bitcoin or a copy of Ethereum. So you know that if you are interacting with the blockchain, you usually use something that you call wallet, or something that will be your ID somehow. So there are a few things that you can do with the blockchain that are really interesting. So one of the cases is that you can run a smart contract. So that is code running in the Ethereum virtual machine that you can interact with an API. But who wants to use an API if you can use .NET in general, right? So we're working in the bridge to interact with the Ethereum smart contracts through .NET and especially through SAF. But the demo that I will do today is about authentication. Since in Web3 you are kind of an anonymous entity, the only thing that you expose is your public address of your wallet. So we kind of needed a way to authenticate with blockchain wallet, whatever this wallet is. It can be a Bitcoin wallet or Ethereum wallet. So if you are into the blockchain world, you might know one of the most famous extensions that in this case is MetaMask. Basically is an extension for the browser that they will hold your wallet, and you can use it to sign documents or use it as an identity provider. So basically the idea is that we will authenticate against this. So for this example, what I'm using is this service that is called Moralis. There is many ways to interact with the blockchain. You can either run your own node, or you can use a service like this, like Moralis, or there are many other services to interact to different type of blockchain. So you can run your own node, you can use a public node, or you can use a pay node that is like a service like this. So basically here I create my own node because it's as a service, and then I get some data from the API. And after that, what you need to do is like, and I have to do this on like, basically, I even have to double check the staff information for this, but in the end, it's like whatever authentication flow that you want to integrate in SAF, you just need to go to the how to add custom loan parameters tutorial. I read that all the time. So I did that in this case to interact with MetaMask. So basically what I have is I need some JavaScript framework. So I include a JavaScript here that basically this is what execute the authentication, and then you just import them in the host file. So here I'm importing that those frameworks. I mean, this is my script, and then you have to import the framework for Morales and then the Web3 client. So after that is basically a normal Blazor application that you can use JavaScript to interact. Sorry, the JavaScript interop to interact between C# and JavaScript. In this case, the Morales JavaScript that I'm using in here. So long story short, let's run this. And you will see how my UIs look. Of course, they don't look neat, but we have people in the office for that. So let's run this. And just wait a little bit. I don't know why if I'm using Zoom, when I run this demo exactly, it takes a long time to load. So let's wait a little bit. And while this is loading, what I wanted to show you is the Morales side. So here, this is basically your blockchain node, the one that you're interacting with. So if I go to dashboard, I can see if there has been any interaction, if there is any wallet that have signed in. So far I deleted every interaction that I have this morning, so I can have like a clear database for that. And now that we have the SAF application running, see, in this case, this is supposed to be read-only, but I didn't, I'm testing that. It's not something that is production ready. So I left it like that I can type. And this will not work in this instance for one reason. When you run your SAF application or your Blazor application from the studio, the browser that it starts is not your profile, actually, it's a different profile. So as you can see, there are no any I don't have any extensions here. I don't see the extensions icon. So what I'm going to do is like I'm going to copy this URL and I'm going to open this in a browser that is actually in my session. So here you can see I have the MetaMask application running inside of Chrome. So once I go here and I type this, you will see that, okay, it's the same UI, right? But since I have the MetaMask extension here, I can authenticate with MetaMask. This will interact with the browser and it will interact with the application and will ask me like, hey, do you want to sign this request that you're just sending to me? So the request came from the SAF application to MetaMask, and MetaMask will return something like a no ID. That will be basically your user. So because in Web3, everything is somehow anonymous. You just have a huge number or width or something like that. That is the representation of your identity. So I will sign it. This will return here. Oh, I think that it expired. So let me do it again. And let's put a breakpoint in the authentication. So 1 sec. This is the one I need. So let's do the code. And okay, it will stop there when we hit that. So let's run that again. See, this is what's supposed to be my identity. So I already authenticate against MetaMask. So whatever I do here from now on is basically on the SAF side. The third-party service that I'm using to know if I'm authenticated or not already returned that I'm authenticated. This is my username, basically. So after that, you just continue with the normal SAF flow. And what I wanted to show you is that you will get basically a log on your blockchain node that someone interact with you. So if we refresh this this data, see, you will see that this is just happening right now. This is basically my user handler, which is my session of the MetaMask. I know that all of this is kind of abstract, but it's better to be there right now than in the future where we are like somehow behind if we don't interact with this. So that's my demo for today, Javier. But just
okay, I just want to add there, especially for the type of applications that we build, that is a line of business application. anyone who doesn't realize that the blockchain will be the future, that the way that supply chain will work, that you want to know from beginning, from when, like, I don't know, a tree, the seed gets on the soil until actually they sell the wood, until they take the crops, until they actually sell our coffee. If you see a Starbucks is already doing things like that, that you scan a QR code and you know exactly that there was no child labor, that all the steps of the supply chain. So blockchain will definitely be the future for supply chain. You will know from beginning to end with immutability on mind, with the distributed layers, every step that took your product, that took your thing. So definitely something to think about. This is not the main goal of the meetup, but I will just throw it out there because for us in a line of business application, this would be great. So, okay,
and
I'm gonna
also just to close up this idea is what I wanted to add is that most of the interaction with blockchain is done by using JavaScript. So what we're doing is trying to research and create our own layer to do it with C#, because why? We're C# developers, we love SAF, so why not to mix SAF and that at the same time? No one wants to write a Node application, at least no one that is here in this meeting, right? So that's why we wanted to make the bridge with C# first and then with SAF, so we can have all these utilities interacting with the blockchain. And well, that's it.
Okay, absolutely. So I'm gonna share my screen again. I'm gonna show a few things, and then we're gonna do a big summary of SAF Blazor today. So the first thing that I wanna show is the master detail mode, the list view detail view. So we use that a lot in a past application where we actually put just the list view on the side with, let's say, a picture, a column of products, and then the detail view on the side, and you can find like by category all the products of that category and on things like that. And in SAF Blazor, we still don't have a complete solution for that, but right here, Dennis is already providing us a way to achieve it. And you can see here, like the list view on the side, the detail view, and you have all the code here. So feel free to download it and run it. I already have it someplace. I was trying to find it right now, so too many projects. So I will definitely show it in the next meetup, but I just want to say, all those things that we say we still don't have them, most of the time we have a workaround, we have a way to show it, we have something to run, and this is a really neat implementation. Second thing that I wanna show, the custom CSS class name is already there. So we can even see that, I think that Dennis want to add something to the list view master detail conversation. Dennis, you wanna intervene?
Thank you. I just wanted to emphasize that even though currently there is, for example, no Kanban component in GeoExpress Blazor product line, it's still possible to do it with GeoExpress tools, because actually we have GeoExpress JavaStream controls, which are essentially JavaScript controls. And it's possible to wrap them up into a Blazor component and achieve the same functionality. For example, there are also more complex controls like dashboard reporting, and they are also based on a lot of JavaScript code. So you have access to dozens of JavaScript. If you have access to dozens of JavaScript controls, you can access them in XAF and in Blazor in general. Right now, without paging for anything or using competitor controls.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, we have integrated a lot of JavaScript components in SAF Blazor, so you can definitely use any of those in your SAF Blazor application. Like sometimes I definitely try, if there is a Blazor component, try to go the Blazor route and not go in the other one, but we have people in our team that are really good in JavaScript, so they most of the time go this route. So definitely there are a lot of great components here. And talking about dashboard and about how dashboard have a lot of JavaScript API where we can actually customize and do a lot of great things. I just want to mention we are finishing the DevExpress dashboards course. So this should be out by January 2022. So right here we can even show the table of content of what we're going to be covering about data connections, designer, stored procedures, parameters, scripts, calculation, customize the dashboard appearance, conditional formatting, and a lot of great things. So please stay tuned. And please, when we release it, just give us as much feedback as you can. We are just doing a first draft, and I will appreciate any type of comments or anything that you guys can provide to us so we can improve and make it better. With that out of the way, I wanted to mention that the custom CSS class name, now we can put it. As you see, we can add it there and create our own CSS class name and customize our UI however we see fit. And this is a pretty nice tool because that way we don't have to go to the browser and start right clicking and inspecting and finding. We know what we want to customize. We can find the layout here and we can move forward. The blog that it came like a few months back, but I just want to mention right now, the dashboard module is out, the office module is out, functional testing, user profile avatar. It's also good to see all those old posts that we come back and see, oh, all of these things have done, we have come a long way. The edit module on Windows, and we can even see things that we have not discussed. We already talked about the web API backend CTP, but also all these code diagnostics. Right now, the analyzer is giving us a lot of things, so we try to avoid some custom errors. Sometimes we still have some false positives, but every time it's less and less and less. So this is a great tool, especially for beginners, that will be actually helping a lot. And with that one, I want to come back to the roadmap. I think that this is the best way to summarize everything that we have done in Blazor. And actually, there was one last thing that I wanted to show you before moving to the roadmap that will be kind of like the summary of everything. So Jose and myself, we did a project in the early previous of Blazor, and we wanted to add things to the navigation dynamically. And it was a pain. Actually, the API was not even there. So if you put a breakpoint on that API, nothing was happening. Right now, that's already available. You can customize the navigation items. And let me show you a quick demo. So if you see here, we have a Blazor application, and let's say that we want to add something to the navigation. Let's click add canvas, and let's put here test2. And if I create, that will do a quick refresh. And you see, we have it already here in our navigation test2. If we go to the canvas management and we select test2 and we delete it, boom, it's done. That fast. So it's really nice to be able to add things to the navigation to put it there back and forward. So kudos to the team. It's a really nice, straightforward API and really useful for a lot of case users. Now, this is where we want to come up. The 2021 roadmap, we are at the end of the year Blazor update. We're at the end of 2021, and let's see everything that we have. Localization, it has been available since 20.2.6, and switching language at runtime since 21.1. Clone module since 20.2.6. Audit trail for entity framework core since 21.1. Office module 21.2. Dashboard module 21.2. And I love the dashboard module. That's a beauty. A scheduler is coming to 2022. It's almost there. We have seen like there was actually a blog post about the scheduler on Blazor. There is already a lot of new things coming up there, a lot of new features. Actual container view items from 2026. User profile avatar, which already saw it in this blog. Nice. New property editors, and the lookup property editor with the new and open button that Dennis just showed us is coming in 2022, and we already have a good teaser of it. It's looking beautiful. Grid list editor is already available to CTPs from 21.2, but we already discussed a few of the APIs that are already available, so we can create a lot of things like summaries, like filters, and so on. The pivot, we know that they already have examples, and we can click here and see it. It's good to come to this roadmap. It tells you how far we have come, and right here is the pivot in action. We also have the same machine and the workflow model we just discussed, and we have a lot of samples from the community. Tree list editor, as I show in one of the tree list editor is right here as well. And then like all the other cross-platform enhancement. So I don't know you guys, but I'm really excited about Blazor. There is a lot of things done, a lot of things coming. I think that we are in a really good place. And honestly, like we have been using SAF Blazor in production since a long time. I know that we're always in the bleeding edge, and we sometimes that causes like to hit our head on the floor, but that's what we like to do. So if there is any question, if you guys want to talk about something, just I think that I had so many demos that I wanted to move really fast that I just overdo it. And we for one of the first time we're a little early, but that's a good thing. That's the thing that we're excited that we just have a lot of things to cover. So Hoche, Dennis, Dave, or anyone on the community, if you guys want to add anything.
I'm good.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about the question in the chat. There was a request about the runtime model editor for Blazor, and I just answered that even though we are not planning it for the next year, we are currently researching the capability to customize the detail view layout at runtime. And I already saw the first spike from my developer, and where it allows you to move fields, to rename fields, and to do other basic customizations. If you used the DevExpress dashboard for the web, you probably remember that it has a runtime dashboard designer, and the layout customization behaves very similarly. I think that's it.
Great.
There is another question on the chat, Dennis.
Questions in the chat?
Yeah.
You mean about reporting?
Yeah.
To be honest, I don't fully understand the question because we have a report designer already, and from 21.1, and I recommend this user to submit a question in the DevExpress Support Center and clarify the requirements. It's the best way to go.
Perfect. So yeah, we have actually been using the reports on SAF Blazor, and actually the dashboard. We actually had a early implementation, and when the official implementation came up, we right away switched, and it's beautiful, it's fast, and it's working really good. So as always, I'm really excited to have you all guys here once a month. I know last
It's
month
time for the picture.
it's time for the picture. Let me stop sharing. So I appreciate. I am always happy to see how many people spend their whatever time is at your Thursday with us here talking about SAF and technology. But thanks everyone for being here. Let's take the picture for anyone who wants to put the camera turn the camera. And
so 1, 2, 3, and again, just in case, 1, 2, 3. Thanks, guys.
Okay, happy guys, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Hope everything goes well. Take care. COVID is still out there, so we need to take care of our family, and see you next month.
Bye, guys.
Thank
Take
you.
care.